Today I'm in central London and I thought I would come to visit the home and more importantly the gardens of Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens moved into the house with Catherine and their first child in 1837, the year Queen Victoria began her reign. The family left the home 3 years later when Charles was an international success, having written The Pickwick Papers, Oliver Twist and Nicholas Nickleby. Dickens later wrote that 48 Doughty Street had seemed to him a frightfully first-class family mansion involving awful responsibilities. Hedgehogs were sometimes kept in Victorian kitchens to eat insects and bugs.
The water plant. So there's the water plant. Okay, so there's the water plant. How many hours a day are they anything else? Drinking?
These type of stone sinks would also have been found in Victorian kitchen gardens. The lamp is in this one just to illuminate it. The museum houses over 100,000 objects. On display you will find personal items including Catherine's engagement ring and Dickens's handwritten novel drafts as well as his writing desk. So this is the wash house, and you can see you put a fire at the bottom and then it warms up the copper so you can have a wash or do your clothes.
Geographical separation. So a nice little glass.
Station himself. His porter assistants ranged themselves behind him. Rule was served out.
While living at this house, Dickens wrote at this desk, producing The Pickwick Papers, Nicholas Nickleby and Oliver Twist. Their first child was born in 1837, called Charlie. The Dickenses had 10 children altogether, 9 of whom survived into adulthood. The couple separated in 1858, causing a scandal in Victorian society. In the nursery I found a glass bottle which was used for the children to pee into, so they didn't have to go all the way downstairs to the toilet in the middle of the night. Oliver Twist is said to have been pushed through this window by Bill Sikes on the occasion of a burglary. Also in the attic you will find this prison grill, which is said to be from a debtor's prison in Southwark, and represents the time when Charles Dickens' father was in prison. I went to go and visit the garden, and rather than being a replica of the times that Dickens was in the house, it is just a garden with flowers bearing his name. So because the museum bought the house next door, the garden is much larger, but this wall here is the original wall. So Dickens, his garden would have been on this side, which is still quite a nice, decent size. Maybe a bit unusual, but in the garden is the gravestone of Robert Seymour, who was the illustrator on the Pickwick Papers, and he committed suicide while he was working on that project. And the grave is in the garden here. This is the original step from in front of St. George's Church in Southwark, where the heroine and her husband paused at the end of Little Dorrit. So this building on the right is not part of the original garden, it's an extension to the house. And down here is a stone taken from the house at 29 Johnson Street at Somerstown, where Dickens' family lived from 1824 to 1829. Sadly, the house was demolished in 1932, and this plaque was brought here. And this rose in the garden, the variety is actually called Charles Dickens, the hybrid seed. I wonder if this is an original climber from Dickens' day. Maybe he planted it himself. A beautiful specimen. It's a star jasmine. Charles Dickens died of a stroke on the 9th of June, 1870. Well, thank you for joining me on that tour of the home and garden of Charles Dickens. If there's anybody else you can think of I can go and visit, tell me in the comments below, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. So from me until then, bye for now.